Hey guys, it's Edwin BHA here bringing you a new video. So the great folks over at Reolink sent me over another awesome camera to check out. The Reolink RLC-820A. This is an 8 megapixel 4K PoE camera and we're going to check it out today. Here we go. All right, so you can purchase it straight from Reolink's website, or normally I would say go to Amazon, but right now it's currently sold out. But I did manage to find it on AliExpress, and of course it's a little bit cheaper if you're willing to wait, for it to be shipped to you. AliExpress may be the way to go.
All right, so let's do a quick run through everything we're going to cover in this video. So of course, for starters, we'll unbox the device. Once we do that, then we're ready to get that camera installed outside. Once that's installed, then we'll get it added into the Reolink app on my phone. After that, we'll go ahead and look at it in the web browser because you're able to access it by IP address in the web browser as well. Once that's done, then we are ready to add it into my Hikvision NVR. Once that's done, we'll get it added into Home Assistant. And lastly, I'll just kind of show you what that looks like in action. So let's get started. All right, so let's go ahead and get this thing unboxed. So not a lot of information there. It's the 820A. It's 8 megapixel. Looks like it has some information there on the outside, and of course talking about the Reolink app as well. Let's go ahead and get this thing opened up. So there is the mounting template that you can use to drill your holes and stuff to mount this camera. There's also instructions in there on how to get it set up in the app. There's a network cable that we can, of course, use for a PoE injection. All right, so we also get screws and anchors that we can use to mount it with, as well as the waterproof seals and stuff for the network cable to ensure no moisture gets in there and everything like that. Let's go ahead and pull this wrapper off. And here is the RLC-820A. So it just kind of spins around on the top there, and then you can move it up and down to help angle it the direction that you want. If we slide this around there on the back, you can see the SD card slot. If you aren't going to connect it to some sort of NVR or place where you can do some sort of cloud storage, you can record locally to an SD card if you want. It does give you that option. Should be able to take the back off here, get to slide it over a little bit. So that's the mounting bracket there. So you can use that to mount it to the ceiling or wherever you're going to mount it. And then, of course, just attach the camera to that mounting bracket and it should lock in place. But that's pretty much it for the camera. All right, to just kind of go over some of the specs here. It does do night vision for up to 30 meters. The default format for video is H.265. And of course, as I said before, it is 8 megapixel and does 25 frames per second. It's a 12 volts on the power. And it looks like the micro SD card slot will hold a maximum of storage, which is 256 gig. It does have a built-in microphone, so this will support audio as well. It's another feature that I like on the Reolink. You don't always get that on some of the other cameras, but Reolink does a pretty good job of including some sort of microphone to record audio. Let's go ahead and move on to the next step, and we'll get this thing installed and mounted outside. All right, so let's go over my plan for installing the camera. So what I want to do is I'm going to basically replace that Laview Hikvision camera that you see right there with this Reolink camera, and then I'm going to kind of shift that other one over. So I'm going to put the Hikvision Laview camera where that old camera is, right next to it, the old silver camera. So that's kind of my plan. We'll see how it goes and if that's going to work or not. Well, it didn't exactly work the way I wanted it to. I did get the Reolink camera installed, so there it is, and it looks pretty good. It should work fine, but I was not able to get the Hikvision Laview camera installed next to it like I wanted to. Mainly because when I went to remove it or pull it out, I actually broke the connector on it, totally by accident. So I will be able to reuse it. I'm just going to have to work on getting the connector fixed. But of course, it wasn't ready to go in the meantime. So for right now, I got the one camera, the Reolink, which is obviously the most important camera for this video, installed, and it's ready to go. So let's go ahead and move on to the next step, and we'll get this thing added into the Reolink app. All right, so this is probably my most favorite part of setting up a Reolink camera, and that is getting it added into the app. And my reason for that is because it's so ridiculously easy. Basically, I open up the Reolink app once I have the camera online, and the app has already found the camera. I mean, it's that simple. I don't have to do anything else. As long as both the app and the camera are on the same network, it is super easy to do, and it's already found the camera. So then at this point, we'll click on it, and it's going to ask me to create a password. So we'll go ahead and add a password in here, and then we can give it a name. I'm going to say side door camera. I probably don't need camera in there, but we'll go with it for right now. We may end up changing it later. And there we are. So I have the one I created a few weeks back one. And then the new camera that we just added is side door camera. There it is. We click on that. While we're here, let's go ahead and go through the various configuration options that we have available to us in the app. We'll click settings up here in the top corner. Let's see here under display. Of course, we can go in and change the quality. If we click on quality, see, you can go in there and change the quality. Resolution is 4K. Frame rate is 25 frames per second. We're just going to leave all that default. Anti-flicker is 60 hertz. I'm not going to change that. Day and night is set to auto. I think that's good. There's no reason to set that any different either. All right, camera name. This is the location. So currently it's in the bottom right, but you, of course, can move it around if you wanted to, as well as the date. It's currently in the top center. We'll just leave that there. Then you have the Reolink watermark. So if you don't want that on the camera, you can remove that. It's up in the top corner. See, it disappeared there. Privacy mask. So this will give you the ability to, highlight certain areas that you want masked for privacy and whatnot. And then there's a few advanced settings here. Let's see, exposure. We're going to leave that set to auto. I think the backlight is turned off by default. Yeah, it shows to be off. And then the 3D DNR is on. We're just going to leave all that default. No reason to change any of that. So if we go back, let's see, we got motion detection. You can change the sensitivity or add or remove motion zones if you want. For the time being, I think I'm just going to leave that default. Camera recording. Push notifications are there if we want to set that up and have it alert us on our phone with the app. There's also the ability to have email alerts if you want to get emails as well. And then, of course, you can share the camera with other Reolink accounts if you want to do something like that as well. I'm not changing any of that. I'm really just going to be setting it up in my NVR and in Home Assistant anyway, so I don't need to do any of that But we could go ahead and let's see if we can't get this camera adjusted and angled the right way. So if I set this up here, we'll move it around. And as you can see now, I've kind of, using the app, was able to angle it the direction that I wanted it to. Everything looks pretty good there. So I think we are good at that point. That's pretty much all for the app that I think you really need to know and to kind of cover. So let's move on to the next step, and we'll take a look at the Reolink camera in the web browser. All right, so now we're ready to take a look at it in the browser. So obviously you'll need to know your IP address for your camera. I'm not going to go into super big details on that. Pull it off of your router or whatever your configuration is. You'll want to make sure that you probably give it a static IP address just so that it doesn't change over time. But other than that, you connect to it straight by IP address. It asks for a username and password. The username is admin. The password will be that one that you just created in the app. And then from here, as you can see, it pulls right up. From a configuration standpoint, it is pretty much identical to the app. You can change everything that you can change in the app. You can change here in the web browser as well. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of details on that just because, like I said, it's pretty much the same settings that you're able to tweak. The one thing that you might want to take note of is you can go down to the network settings here. Let's see, where's that? Here's network settings. And if you click on port settings down here at the bottom, this lists out all of the default ports that it uses. So if we're going to add this into Home Assistant, or if you're going to add it into like an NVR, like Hikvision, then we need those ports, specifically either ONVIF or RTSP. So you want to make note of those ports just so whenever you're getting that configuration set up, you'll know what ports to put in there. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Like I said, all the configuration is almost the same as the app, so not really going to go over all of that in great detail, but let's move on to the next step, and we will get it added into the Laview Hikvision NVR using ONVIF. All right, so I have my Laview NVR pulled up here. And so, of course, it doesn't show the camera feeds. I'm on a Mac, and I don't know if you're familiar with how the Hikvision or Laview plugins work on Safari or any Mac for that matter, any Mac browser. They just don't seem to work. I always struggle with it. It works fine on a Windows machine using like Internet Explorer, but that's about it. Nonetheless, for configuration, it works fine. So we're going to go over here to configuration. And we're looking for camera management. There it is. So as you can see, I had it plugged into port 2. That's why it shows offline. So this is where we're going to edit port 2 and point it at the newly installed camera. So we'll do a modify here. We have to go down under adding method and we'll say manual. That way we can change the IP address to the IP of the new Reolink, which for me is 10.10.10.66. And then for protocol, we're going to switch it to ONVIF. Once we do that, we just basically need to make sure that the management port is set correctly, which it is. And then now we need to give it the username and password. So username, of course, was admin. Password is what we set up initially. So we'll type that in here. say okay. It usually takes it a few minutes to pull it up, so don't be alarmed if right away if it shows offline. It's fine. It will come in. It just takes it a minute or two. While we're waiting for it to come up, we'll go over to image. And we can change the OSD settings to show the name correctly. So let's see. IP camera 2, it just has a name of IP camera 2, so we want to change that to side door. That's kind of what we called the camera already. We'll go ahead and save that. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Like I said, unfortunately, it's not going to show up on my Mac with that stupid plugin. But if we pull up the Hikvision app on my iPhone, just to show you that it does work, we'll pull it up here. And as you can see, there's all of the cameras. That middle one there labeled carport, that's actually the new Reolink. There is the date there in the middle at the top as we had it set. And of course, we did name it side door camera, which I really need to change the name because there's no reason to have camera in the name of your camera. But other than that, I think we're good to go. Super easy to get it installed and set up in the NVR utilizing ONVIF. And of course, we'll be able to use ONVIF to add it into Home Assistant as well. So let's jump on to that next step and we'll get this thing added into Home Assistant. All right, so let's see if we can't get this camera added into Home Assistant. Now we will be doing this with ONVIF. So we'll start by going into integrations here under configuration. And then we're going to hit the add integration and type in ONVIF. There it is, popped right up. We'll select that. It does its normal little scan. Let's see if it picked up the camera. And no, it did not pick up the camera, so that's okay. We'll do manually configure ONVIF device. And we'll put in all of our information. We're going to call it side door because that's the camera we're doing. IP address was 10.10.10.66, and the port is 8000. Get that in there. Go ahead and hit submit. Now it's asking for the username and password. Now this is that password that we created at the start of the video. So admin and then whatever that password was. Go ahead and hit finish. Now we have a new ONVIF camera called Side Door, and there it is. It's now added into Home Assistant. Let's go ahead and move on to the last step, and we will take a look at it in action. All right, so here we are in Home Assistant again. We're going to go ahead and add the camera here to the leveless interface. I got a little test tab here, so we'll hit add card. We're going to search for the picture glance card. Let's see, we'll give it a name of side door. And then let's look for the actual camera. And we want the substream, not the mainstream. So I think it's like, was it profile 001 underscore substream? That's the one we want. We'll hit save. It'll take it a second to populate. Click on it. And boom, now we have our new Reolink 820A camera connected to Home Assistant with ONVIF, and we're able to view it right there on the leveless interface. That's the end of the video, guys. Not too hard to set up. It was pretty easy. Worked pretty well. Again, I really like the Reolink cameras. Price-wise, I don't think they're too bad. They're pretty reasonable compared to other PoE cameras. And again, the setup as far as the Reolink app goes is phenomenal. I mean, it automatically sees it as soon as you get the camera on the network, so you can't really beat that. Basically give it a password and boom, you're done. It is added into your network. And then of course from there we can go and do all the other configuration and stuff like we did. So I'll have the link in the description below. Jump over to Reolink's website, see what all they have to offer. Tons of different models of cameras. So definitely worth checking out.
As always, I'd like to thank everybody for donating to my Buy Me a Coffee link. Every little bit helps. If you haven't had a chance, jump over to my spring merchandise page and check out all the Burns Home Automation merchandise. And if you're still looking for VPN service, check out IPVanish. I'll have the link in the description below. Jump over there, see what deals they're currently running right now. And then we also have Robinhood. If you're interested in cryptocurrency or buying and selling stock, hit the link in the description below. You and I both will get free shares of stock. It's a win-win for both of us. If you liked the video, please subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comments below. And as always, if there are any videos out there that you would like to see that I don't already have out there, let me know in the comments as well, and I'll see if I can't get something put together for you guys. Otherwise, I'll see you guys around. Thanks.